Welcome everybody here, Brady from BGWX, and we are back here for another breakdown of what is going to be a potent winter storm slash blizzard. The question is, what are going to be the impacts? Who's going to be impacted? And why do we keep seeing inconsistencies with the model guidance for the storm? Hint, it's just a repeat offender of what we've always talked about with model guidance. We'll get into that. Again, if you're unsure of what I do, I break down the meteorology of the setups. I break down the in-depth science, but I try to simplify it as best as I can, as the way I learned it, in order for you to hopefully learn it as well, so you can get a grasp or at least an idea of what could be in store for people um, to receive what could potentially be a notable event, and hopefully do my best to provide the insights and the scenarios of what to watch for. So we'll wait for people to filter in. I'll get the link to X and we'll get started here in a second. So, how is everybody doing? All right, vamos. Why won't my post? I am so annoyed with X on the iPad lately. Has not worked well. Has not worked well. Okay, got that. And then I'll get the chat going here. So it's not a high budget operation here, clearly. Um, John, how we do that? How we doing? Brandon, how we doing? Celtic Supreme, how we doing? Uh, Tammy, how we doing? Bob the Builder. Bermani, how we doing? Yes, we have a lot to talk about. We do indeed have a lot to talk about. Here's the thing that I will say with the Hurricane Hunters. Here, I'm gonna assume that they're on the Pacific side, and that's great. But I'm not as concerned about the Pacific. It's important. I'm really more focused now on the Atlantic side and the specific how the what. I honestly I think that's a more important factor than anything else at this point. I think we have a pretty clear idea what's coming in from the Pacific side here, at least in my opinion. Also, I hate when we have winter storms and the model runs are not in a great spot, meaning that they're not working. They have to wait these delays here. So let me see here. Yeah, they're still on on the Pacific side. So that helps. It's fantastic. It's better. Any extra data is always very important. And you kind of saw some changes with the 18Z, some with the 18Z guidance, and some of it going into the 0Z, but that will continue. I'm not sure how much of some of those models will be able to pick up uh, all of those all of those drops of data. So we'll see about that. Uh, you know, Joe Weather, I can't give away the whole spiel. That's what the whole video is going to be about. That's what the whole stream is going to be about, breaking down what I think is changed or not changed from yesterday. The short answer I will tell you is I don't think anything has changed, in my opinion. I think the thumbnail is what it is for a reason. I think model guidance only added more questions than answers today. For me, it's still pretty straightforward, but for many of you, I'm sure some people just bailed. Oh, models, they don't show it. Since the models don't show it, it can't happen. And that's just not how it works necessarily. Oh, but the AI guidance isn't showing a major snowstorm. Well, the AI guidance also last time was not showing a snowstorm at this time, believe it or not, for 2 weeks ago for that same system. Sure enough, 5 to 8 inch snowstorm later, because that's what we were dealing with. We weren't dealing with a major blizzard. It works a little bit different. So, yeah. Already a super chat. That's fantastic. And also, hello, Sherry Dowse. Still digging out in Baltimore. It wasn't too bad. But thank you, Bob Builder. Explanations really help differentiate modelology and meteorology. But David G says, "Sorry, I got busy while you were live. Gerald, can you tell me your honest opinion what the Jersey Shore is going to look like? Will this come back west? My heart wants it, but yeah, so the storm hasn't happened yet, so it can't really shift. The storm has one track, so let's make that clear. Models can shift, but the storm itself is hasn't even gotten going yet, so it can't really shift. It's already set in track. My job is to try to best predict that, and the models are trying to do that. So I'm trying to, and the reason why I hone. It's not me trying to be a D word about it. It's trying to hone in on specific wording and get away from what the consensus of meteorology has now turned into, which is focusing on models. And I don't think that is what forecasting is at its core. And I don't think that's what Mother Nature wants us to do. Mother Nature does not want us to do that. That's not how we're designed to forecast. Do I think try to better answer your question? Can models shift back west? Absolutely. Based on my thinking, I'm going to break down why I still think. Um, First of all, let me just say this is the kind of setup where if you change one little thing, it's double amplified. So it's like it's going to be twice as impactful on the surface what you do at the upper levels with this system. This is going to be that kind of system. So I'm warning you right now for all of you P-type map and snow map watchers. Let me say this right now: the snow maps you could get maybe a little idea from the last system, just because of the orientation. The Kachera maps ended up being relatively close. That's not always the case to what actually happened, but with this system here, the snow maps are going to be completely garbage, especially the surface maps too. They're not going to be useful. They're just not. This system, it will never be useful. Um, to be looking at surface maps. So you don't really have to worry about how much snow did the GFS show this run. Yeah, that's excuse me. It's not relevant as my voice readjusts the settings apparently, but it's not relevant. The only thing that's relevant is what's going to happen come February 1st or January 3rd, whenever this is happening. So that's all that matters. You're going to care about how much snow happens. Everybody, we did this with the last storm. Everybody was so obsessed with a mix line. Everybody was so obsessed with a sleet line, and I was trying to I couldn't. I couldn't believe how many people were worried about a mix line with this kind of setup. And I was like, you realize if you mix, that means you're going to get hours and hours and hours of heavy snow first. So you better mix than not see anything at all to your south here, or better to see snow and mix than just like mix right away. Or so my boy, everybody was obsessed about a mix line. Oh, you worried about mixing? I was like, I don't care about mixing. Do you care about how much snow you're gonna get or if you're gonna mix? That's not. I tried to change that narrative with the last system, but people are looking at these model runs. They're looking at their surface maps and obsessed with that, and that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because in the last system, you even had mixing get into southern New England, but For most people on the South Coast, a little bit, and it inhibited the totals a little bit. That was after they got like 10 to 18 inches on the coast of snow. That so of like coastal Connecticut and southern Rhode Island coast. So those are the points I'm trying to get to people is that let's look at actually what those results are going to be come real time. That's what I'm trying to focus on. Not how much snow the GFS, the NAM, the Euro show. Not that. How much snow are you going to get? What are the impacts going to be? And hopefully I can relay the scenarios good enough so that even if my forecast wasn't perfect, we at least discussed it and you were aware of why that happened and understanding how we got there. That's kind of my goal, to sum it up, so to say. Let's see here. NC player, hello. Rapala, hello. John had to do removal, so the mix would have made it heavier. Yeah, it didn't really get too It didn't really get too far into Connecticut or Rhode Island, but it did get to get through the coastline, and then after it was just a dry slot. I saw some posts like, oh, it was like, it's a little bit of sleet. Like you're dry slotting, of course. Well, what do you care? You're not seeing snow anyways at that point. That reminded me of December 1st, 2019, where like we got crushed with snow, dry slotted, like mixed a little bit because we were not snowing at all in a dry slot. And then right on the second half of the system, we came on through with like another like, you know, 10 to 15 plus inches of snow, December 2019. So if that's going to be your takeaway, then it's about, in my opinion, it's about how much snow, not if you get a trace mixing. That's just my opinion. But we ended up with 13. I'm gonna 13. You're probably in Jersey, New York City, PA, somewhere around there. Then it appeared to sleet here yet. Had several more inches of snow than spots in Vermont. That's great. I don't. You can look at these Euro AI runs all day long here. You're not going to get the final result. You're not going to get the final result out of your model runs here tonight. Just telling you. So, my area near Washington D.C. is not looking good for the storm. Washington D.C. is probably not in the best spot for the system. No. I trust in secondary lows forming off the sea that pull the main. I'm not really going to go too much into depth about that right now. I'm going to be focusing more on the overall setup rather than like specifics of low pressure tucks and stuff, weird runs. Sure, there's some weirdness that it seems like is possible. Anytime the models are so consistent with some weirdness in the models, I have to weight that at least a little bit. But a lot of that could be model noise as well. It's usually not the case where you get it's usually not the case where if I can get my pen to load, where you get like a low pressure way off here that's like 980s, and then you get another one here that's like, I don't know why I draw an E, but and then you get another one here that's like 970. That's very rare. You see that battle of low pressure, like that. It's very rare with the mid latitude cyclones. You see that. So it's not that often. So no mix got 18. No mix Boston highest temperature is 27. What's up? Are you holding hope for Southern Hampshire? Yeah, banding in the Carolinas is what's going to come down to ultimately. But I look at that and I go, but the problem is though, people look at this and go, oh boy, look at that very minor shift. This was a major shift. That was a key one. And then boom, you did a minor one that way. You did a minor one that way 3-4 days out, whatever. That doesn't change the fact of the specifics of that being right there. That being right there 90 hours out, Are you focusing on that little tick right there, or are you focusing on where you're at 90 hours out? But the problem is people look at this and they make determinations. 90 hours out. I don't care if it's the AI guidance or not. This is not. This was literally almost exactly where I saw us with AI guidance. Maybe just barely more northwest. Maybe just barely more. So AI guidance is not some gold. There's a reason it's not a perfect 100, so to say. I'm not saying that's gonna. I'm just drawing stuff. You got to stop acting like this 0Z run was going to define things. We're really this could honestly come down to like the final night. I mean, I'm not lying. Like for New England, for the Carolinas, it's pretty straightforward in my opinion. It's going to be inches or it's going to be feet of snow. That's the reality in the Carolinas. Um, and I'm sorry. This is such a specific. This almost never happens. Almost never. A double barrel with this orientation where you're consolidated here and then almost trying to consolidate. It almost never. It would. If that rarity happens so much where it prevents the storm from even being able to scrape, and even then it does almost scrape here on this run. But people look at that and go, oh boy, look at that big shift, look at that big shift east, 30 miles and 4 days out. It doesn't mean that much to me, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. It's not trying to be condescending. It's just literally trying to. It's trying to pinpoint the reality of the system. Not worry about little ticks back and forth. They're gonna keep changing. I told you guys. What did I say last night? I said we would be here at this point tomorrow night, and I told you models were going to shift east. It's just the nature of these systems every single time. Yeah, I said it multiple times. I'm not sure who was still here when I said that, but this was as predictable as the sunrise in the morning. It was going to happen. It was very, very easy, in my opinion. You see that? 0Z last night, 0Z tonight, just barely. It's not that different, actually. It's not that different. It's minor, but I don't know what I did there, but I don't like it. Can we not do that? Don't do it. All right, let's kind of get into this. Let's get into this here. Bubba News, how we doing? DJ Slankman, hello. Kim Jarvis, hello. Joseph, yeah, we're not going to talk about totals with North Jersey right now. That's not even. It's not even worth it. I trust me. You got to get your head away from that. You got to. I know you're focused on that, but you got to get away. Have to get away from it. It's not valuable. You can look at I want to see just the upper levels here. The euro, and this is still kind of rolling out here. So compared to the 18Z madness, but this won't be as far west as the last one. Just a heads up. Won't be. Just because of this is it's really minor, but any minor changes make more notable differences on the preset map. They're kind of double amplified, like we talked about. Anything you see there is going to make a difference. And really, listen, I told you guys, all of the specific stuff is great. I wish we had sample on this stuff. That's what we really need, in my opinion. The Pacific stuff is great. The pieces, though, are like yes, the specifics of how much injects into the subtropical jet can absolutely make an impact on how early amplification can happen. But we're gonna have a good moisture. We have a good feed here from the subtropical jet. Not as impressive as the last system, but you're not gonna see too much more impressive than the last system. There's only so much. Good to see you too, Bubba News. There's only so much you can. You're really going to change the piece. The pieces are there on this is clear. This and how it relates to this is not clear. So I really wish we had sampling of what's going on up here. I don't know if they almost ever go that far, but even just into the Atlantic, going off into the Atlantic right now, sampling stuff. Models suck at depicting the Atlantic region every single time. They almost always underestimate it. Very rarely they don't. Very rarely they don't. This won't be as impressive as the last run, but it's not that different. It's also not that different. But it's I'm telling you that models there are going to be so much more shifts with this, so much more shifts with this, and it's gonna. This is why it's a hard forecast in the Carolinas. Um, you can just, I mean, not really. That is not, height lines are lower. It's not as amplified. That's a little bit more suppressed of a look right there. That's not. I mean, you can kind of see it on the upper levels here. That this part may be further west, but I'm focused on here and what happens out ahead. Um, so I don't think this is gonna. But it doesn't. Regardless, it doesn't matter that much. Northern Energy was in Eastern Tennessee. Now it's in Arkansas. What do you mean? Yeah, no, it's in this. It's like in the same spot. I don't know what you're talking about. From 18Z to 0Z or 12Z to 0Z. If you're going from 12 to 0Z, then sure, it's going to be different. I'm going from 18Z to 0Z. Yeah, we'll see how models handle this. They haven't had a Miller A like this in a while to accurately predict. But the reason why I was going to say is why this for the Carolina forecast is going to be brutal for snow totals. I'm telling you right now. There's almost going to be a nowcast in the Carolinas. Probably, literally not until like as the storm, like literally probably not until Friday, as the storm's happening. Because what happens with the system is directly tied to what happens here. Also, I don't necessarily trust models are going to fully accurately predict this TPV lobe and how it's doing right out here. I also don't trust that models are going to handle what comes in from out in here and here on the backside of the system. The NAM model is not fully ran out yet, so it's really hard to. I don't love showing it as if it's going to be the end all be all. But minor little differences in the upper levels make huge differences on the surface maps. Huge differences. But this will still probably be a decent run. And the GFS, right? I told you guys before, just because it was showing snowstorm yesterday doesn't mean it was going to keep doing that. That was as predictable as ever. This is the most predictable model in my opinion ever. You can tell, anybody can tell what it's going to do. GFS is going to chase this convection way too much. GFS is going to be a really unuseful model, especially because it's trying to handle upper level energy from way up here. Just not going to be that useful. AI GFS, I have no idea how it's going to do with this setup. I have zero idea. The AI GFS is really inconsistent. It did okay with the one from about 10 days ago, 11 days ago. It did not do well with the last system though. That the GFS AI was playing a lot of catch up, It changed more than it needed to be. In previous systems, it has not done. I was not all too enthused, even though I think the AI is is better. It's helps a little bit, but uh, so yeah. Uh, because the reason I say we won't know until so close, in my opinion, with the Carolina totals um, is because it's the specifics of this upper level low evolution setup. So the beginning of your the beginning, like literally, the snow forecast could change from onset to the end, and I'm not kidding you in the Carolinas, because see how long this takes to pinwheel around. Like that's when you may start snowing, like Friday night or whatever. And but look how long this process takes. You see that? That's another day, and that's another day right there. That's like it takes 2 days to pinwheel around the system. So just because the onset of the system is starting close, that's why the snowfall maps in the Carolinas, I don't envy people that do those. Those are going to be brutal. I don't think anybody's going to have great. If anybody has amazing, accurate predictions in the Carolinas, that's it. They're either getting lucky or it was an amazing forecast. Because this is about when it's going to start. The beginning, the onset. It's really almost like a clipper, really, to start. It's a clipper that falls down to the southeast, and then what happens is the subtropical jet gets infused into the system. The system starts tilting its axis, um, meaning the system's starting to shift and pivot. You know, the scene from Friends, pivot, pivot, and it's starting to pivot around, um, and that's going to help enhance all this tropical convection. Um, Subtropical convection down here, and this is a matter too of, let alone the specifics of the setup. Here's why every run is going to be different, and as you've seen, because models have all of this convection out here to chase. I think there's going to be major convective feedback issues with this. I think models are going to chase this convection so hard, way more in reality. This is the main show back here. Yes, I think I'm gonna give models the benefit of the doubt that there's gonna be some wackiness that happens out here in this setup. This may not be the cleanest of all setups. When there's that level of consistency on the guidance, I gotta uh, I gotta at least fold one set here to that. But to the general idea, I mean, because models are now trying to form a deformation band way out here. And this is what you've been seeing on some guidance, that they just like wrap this in weird and like don't wrap this in from behind. This directly affects the forecast for this entire region right here. And then also defines how long this lasts in the Carolinas. The focus, in my opinion, for some places in the Carolinas is where exactly does this pivot, how far south does this pivot happen? This is 66 hours out. This is a long time. This is 2.5 days out at this point. That is I don't, people don't care, but it's true. Or some people care, but some don't. That's a long time. That is a very long time to pinpoint. Thank you so much for subbing, GM. Sorry, I can read a from GMs. Thank you, TM Taylor. I can only read so many comments right now. I'm sorry. So if I don't read your comment, don't take it personally. I'm trying my best here to break this setup down. These are the forecasts that make or break right here. Some people, just like the last one, everybody cares. Oh, also, you don't mind hitting the like, extremely helpful as well. I want to thank you all for who have been watching and staying consistent, watching the streams for a long time. Especially a shout out to my man Bubba News. I know how long you have been watching as well, but everybody, NC Player, John, a lot of people who've been watching, a lot lately, because there's plenty more too. Sorry, Celtic Supreme, so everybody. So don't be offended if I didn't say your name, but you all allowed me to finally get monetized, so I can fully monetized. So now, yes, you can send super chats. You can send what can you do? You can join the channel. We have memberships available, but also now per video, I am now being able to make very, very small amount, but a little bit um, off of the ad revenue. So I apologize if you get like mid ad rolled or something, but I am trying to grow the channel, so I apologize. I'm not trying to you know trying to make the viewing experience so much worse for you, but I am trying to see how far we can go with this here. So I really appreciate everybody. We hit the 4,000 watch hours mark over the last 365 days, so that means that's a credit to all of you. Has nothing to do with me. I can talk into a microphone all I want. If you all don't show up, that does not grow the channel at all. So I appreciate it. But in regards to this setup here, this is going to make or break forecasters. This is gonna make or break forecasters, because there is so much going on with this setup. There's so many different pieces, and it's such a high stakes event. The one 2 weeks, the one about 10, 11 days ago, that was not as high stakes. That was a snowstorm. There was a minor to moderate snowstorm at play, and we had a minor snowstorm. Those were the stakes. This is historic blizzard is the stakes here. That's a little bit different, and that's very important to nail the forecast. Here's another thing I notice. What do you all notice about the confluence as the storm progresses? What do you all notice? Look at the confluence here. This is first of all, before we get to this, before you answer that, confluence pieces are notorious for changing so much on model guidance. So much model guidance, first of all. Especially when the confluence is wrapped into the system. Let's make that clear first. But notice, look at the strength of the confluence here, about 80 hours out. No, not that's ticking north. That's not the focus. Watch it fade. You see that? That is, and then notice the latitude gain that happens. If that confluence is a little bit weaker, just barely faster on the model guidance, that latitude gain, instead of happening out here, happens back here. And it makes a huge difference. That's a minor change that makes a notable impact on model guidance. Yes, it pushes north eventually. You see the latitude gain? And it's less about the confluence pushing north, and it's more about the strength. You see the strength. You see how weakened, and that's on every guidance. You can look at every single model run. You can see that weakens more as it gets further north. That's when the latitude gain happens. Here's another thing. I'll tell you right now. I'm favoring either a scraper or a hit with this. I do not favor for a. Basically from like here to like here. This is a trickier part of the forecast, but I'm just talking about like especially the coastal places like eastern New England, these places like that. I'm favoring right now at least a scraper or a hit, and we've made that clear. That point has remained some sort of hit with this system, even if it's not actually it would be. I mean, right now we basically have a scraper with this on the Euro AI. I mean, that's what we have 96 hours out. So that's not really a hot take, in my opinion. But that's what if I'm going away from the model guidance, this is what it's telling me. And so that's where I'm personally leaning right now. And look at the Euro still, man. Euro did terrible with this piece 2 weeks ago. Terrible. Euro was awful with this piece. Backside piece coming in. But let me see, 700 volt here. It's so close. 700 volt suggests that this should be right here. This should be absolutely thumping. Maybe almost Boston, but especially Cape Cod, South Shore. That's what 700 volts suggests right there. Will it show it? It's not out yet, so we don't know. Keep that in there. It's going to show it or not, but that's what it should show. Oh, here we go. No, not there yet. But I told you it's not going to be as fun as the last run, as the 18Z. But that, if I'm seeing that, I'm seeing this 4 days out, an upper level low right here. This is just messy. This is just messy at that point. These are specifics ironed out caused by this. You have this right here. Give me a chance to track that any day of the week. To put that right there. And then watch. Watch how amplified the convection out here gets now. So there's probably some truth to that, but to what extent? I remember doing the same thing with the Blizzard of 2022. Now, the double barrel-ish kind of ended up, as we know, there was some truth to that. I always took note of that for some future setups. You live and learn. But at the same time, that storm still crushed Jersey coast, produced a major snowstorm in New York City. It was like 10. I don't know about major, but a big one. It's like an 8 to 12 plus snowstorm in New York City, and then it was like 18 to 24 plus, basically east of Worcester County, and then Boston, obviously. It was like 2 to 3 feet of snow. That's an example kind of a double barrel. So this, I don't know what to make of this right now. I think model guidance is all over the place. But here's something I come back to. It's not a bad point, Chef Curry. It's not a bad point. I believe also that's Priya is your name from Twitter, if I remember that correctly. But I come back to this. This is what I come back to. This sea surface temperature gradient right here along the coast. This supports the baroclinic zone being driven to here. That's what this supports, in my opinion. That's what that supports. Let's take a look at what model guidance shows. Makes a huge difference, by the way. Makes a huge difference for everybody. Everybody with the system. Euro gets it close. Euro gets it very close, that baroclinic zone close. But notice the orientation still. In theory, you can drive that baroclinic zone along that Gulf Stream there, that gradient. And then, in theory, at this point, you're near negative. I think there's some truth to this gradient right here. It's either going to ride that one or closer to this one. And this is probably your coastal scraper. If it's closer to this one, and if it rides this one here, the gradient, the low pressure, then that's going to get you, to here. The RGM is just the Canadian. It's the same model. You have the RGM is the Canadian. It's the same. The RGM is the high res version of that. That goes out 84 hours and runs, and has more access. I guess the Canadian technically runs 6Z and 18Z. I just don't care about those. RGM is a little bit better. And this is a storm right here where you get it close to the benchmark. You're gonna get a pretty impactful storm back into here. not pretty. It's major. There's no. I don't need to beat around the bush. There's no. If this hits, it's going to be a major event. It's going to be more impactful than the last one, probably. And it's not because of the snow amounts, more so. It has to do with the wind. Has to do with the wind, so to say. I think the Euro AI. I think it jumps. I think it jumps too soon with the low here. I think it jumps too soon. I think right here at this point, boom, that jump east, that doesn't line up in my opinion with closer to the grade. Now it's not a perfect science, so take it for just. But if I'm looking at, it, I don't think that line. I don't think that lines up. And it gets closer to this gradient here, but Euro AI rides this gradient, if not already south here. Um, but again, this isn't necessarily though a setup here that's favored for back into here, like in these interior places, Hudson Valley. This is going to be tough to do. So if you're in these places here, I'd keep up with this, monitor it. Um, but it's not going to affect it's uh, it's not worth. I don't want to say affect. It's not worth getting your hopes up so much if you live in those places. I'm just keep giving you a heads up now. Um, what's the main driver? They're saying models will maybe go out to sea. There's not a single model that shows us going out to sea right now. Every single model has this hitting the Carolinas. There's not one showing this going out to sea right now. Every single one has us hitting the Carolinas. The Carolinas do exist. I know it's hard to believe, but they shout out to my people in the Carolinas right now. They do exist, and even possible that genuinely possible that you can get snow back into northeast Georgia. That's it. That's certainly possible. So I would watch that. I don't think it would be. I don't think that's the hot spot for this storm. I think you're going to want to go more back into here with the system, but that's so to say. But even at a minimum, your AI is showing a coastal scraper at the moment. I know for it just out to sea means the entire system is not going to hit the coast, in my opinion. That's literally because the storm is out to sea. That's what I means in my opinion. It means it's not hitting anywhere along the east coast. The GFS is also a coastal scraper, but is also it's a major hit for the Carolinas. It's not really. Let me be a coastal scraper. We're talking about for New England, not Carolinas. The 0Z runs did not change anything for Charlotte, and they weren't going to regardless. I think Charlotte is in a fine spot to see accumulating snow, and if you're lucky, you can see you can see what would be a major snowstorm for your area. The potential for 6 to 12 plus inches is there in Charlotte. I'm just not sure you can explicitly forecast there. I honestly I don't know if we're going to be talking about feet or inches of snow in some of those places, and it's really going to come down to banding. It's really going to come down to banding. No, there is no consistent model trend. There isn't. There's no consistent model trend. and that should all give you more and more confidence to not rely on them, you know, so much. Hello, Betris. All right, let's look at satellite. How's Myrtle Beach looking? It could be pretty interesting down there. I'd be careful to watch and see how close the mix line gets on some of those coastal places. At least maybe to start or something. But I'm not sure if Myrtle Beach is much as a concern as OBX is, to be honest with that. That might be more just an OBX problem. But if you do snow, it's going to be plenty cold enough. It's going to accumulate. It doesn't matter if it's during the day or the night. It will accumulate when your temperatures are that cold. And honestly, you do have a shot for blizzard conditions, believe it or not. I think, especially in coastal places in the Carolinas. Uh, believe it or not. Um, the reason people put blame oftentimes on the local is because of the amount I'm seeing of just showing model runs and saying, "Watch this." It's not forecasting because they show these are the solutions right now that are possible. We're going with the one that all the models show right now, um, so that if it changes, we'll let you know that the models change and the forecast change. I know you were assuming as if it wasn't going to happen, but now it's looking like it is, or now it isn't, regardless. All right, here are the players. They're on the field already. They have been. The problem is this evolution takes a long, long time. All the players are here. All the players are here. There's still maybe a little bit to come from back here, but here's your infusion from the subtropical jet. As you can see, not as potent as the last system. We don't have some massive Baja Low getting injected into this as well, but you know what we do have here is you can see there's your system right here, and it's this is going to pivot around. You can see it producing some possibly some moisture into those areas, upper level water vapor. So it's difficult. And let me get it clear: local meteorologists are very smart, very minded. I just have a problem with how the forecast is being relayed a lot of times now, and the lack of trust of how smart and bright-minded they are. It annoys me. It really annoys me because they're brilliant, extremely smart. Potentially 4 years to a decade plus of meteorology to learn, and you're just going to now give that to model guidance. I don't understand that. So a 10-year-old can tell you what model guidance shows. That doesn't take skill at all whatsoever. That's not a shot. That's like a reality. Any a young child can tell you what a model shows. My point is, this is a system here. This is going to be tilting around the pivot axis. This is going to be pivoting. Here's your one player here, and you're also going to get some injection from here in the system as well. So you have a few different players at work here. And so these are all going to come together. And then the question is, you can already see it setting up. You can kind of see right here, the confluence, how this is going to work on the system. Yeah, that's a pressing mechanism from the system right there. I can pull up a model and show you, just to be clear. We lack the Atlantic ridging this time around. Oh, I completely disagree. We do not. It's stream separation. You can lack stream separation and still have Atlantic ridging. I can show you that. Look at your Atlantic. Watch here. You see the Atlantic ridging you get? It may not be the same, let me be clear. It may not be the same, but you very much, your Atlantic ridging, I gotta just go off. This is just North America. Let me get back to the Atlantic. I'll show you the Atlantic basin, I'll be clear. It's also a height anomaly map, to be clear. You see that? Your Atlantic ridging is there. It's a matter of stream separation, in my opinion, at that point. How soon you get it. Right there, though, you're going negative. You see that? You're going to tell me a negatively tilted trough, 509. No, it's a little offshore, but. And then boom. And then you get stream separation as well. And then all of a sudden, it just poof. So it's going to be a matter of, but you can see the height, the height anomaly to the north. It's a matter of placement of confluence, in my opinion. More so, it's more so a matter of the confluence to the north, and that's what I was trying to, mention here. Right here that we're looking at on satellite. Watch how this works around. You see, boom, boom. That eventually turns into how this plays out here. See that, how this is going to work. This will be key. Yet, notice all of what's going on out here. This is current water vapor satellite. This is showing basically the moisture, upper level moisture in the atmosphere. Really good for identifying the pieces, how much moisture you have to work with as well, depending on where you look in the atmosphere. I think you can just get a clear picture, but you can see Atlantic ridging out here. It's just a matter of the stream separation that happens between these two pieces and how quickly this can build back in. Models almost always underestimate the Atlantic ridging. Almost always, because it doesn't get sampled that well. And high pressures can have a really easy time, I don't want to say amplifying, but coming together very nicely. Sometimes it works to our favor, other times it doesn't, especially out west, even where it does get sampled. Models a lot of times underestimate the strength of the western ridge. So sometimes that works in our disadvantage and pushes the system, but right now we have a pretty good placement of the ridge axis, in my opinion. You see that placement of the ridge? Placement of the western ridge is pretty gorgeous. Just the exact access, wish we could get it just a little bit more. Now it allow the confluence to back up as well. But it also could be just the case that the confluence directly connected to it. I wonder if you'll see a difference here from this run. No, hard to pinpoint there. Not much you can make of it on that showing, but the pieces are here. It's just going to take a while to come together, and this is a lot for models to handle. This is a lot. I say it every single system, and also from what happens up here and from back here, this is a lot for models to pinpoint. It's late, fast flow into the system, and it's large bomb cyclone, cheered out mess to the northeast in an extremely poorly sampled area. This is why models were so off with the previous system 2 weeks ago. Not the most previous one, but the one 2 weeks ago. I guess they were off too, but different setup, not the same. This is closer, where we're looking at cyclogenesis is what's driving the storm here versus just the storm moving over land. But this is it. The hurricane hunters have been on this side, sampling this data. That's great. That's helpful. That probably gets us a little better of solutions. But this is pretty clear in my opinion. And again, it's not blaming the hurricane hunters. It's, they're getting extra day. It's fantastic. Maybe it's not their fault that their plane has to go out or anything. Actually, there's no blame in anything. But I'm just trying to make a point that you can get all the hurricane hunter data you get over here. This is where the magic is happening right now, in my opinion. All the way out here. All like this is where the magic is happening. And that's what's going to define it. I'm sure it is, John. Baltimore, D.C. Not favored, but small changes to the upper levels can make a massive difference. So just be aware of that. Totally different storm this past weekend. 11.1 inches in Indy. That's fairly fantastic. Miles are fairly tuned in. And the reason is because all the pieces, are kind of, they had sampling, whatever. The storm's crossing country. This is a simple, it was really a simple, it's a complex phase due to the pieces, but it's really simple process of either, full, partial phase coming together and the system then just riding a southwest flow up the coast. That's really it. And then you get a coastal redevelopment on the backside that helped drop another, 3 to 6, 48 inches on Monday for um, New England and some light snow as well into other places in the Northeast. But this is completely different. This is completely different. Um, this is uh, this is uncomfortable for people to look at because people only want models to show the storm and then say the storm's going to happen. That's where that's where I try to come in. That's where I try to come in and provide my insights to what I can to try at least based on past history, based on past setups, based on model biases, based on the setup itself and what I think is actually going to happen. I try to put all this stuff together and relay my thoughts. And you know, more times than not, it's been successful. But I'm not going to get everyone right. I've gotten a lot of calls right lately, but that doesn't mean anything for the next setup. Patriots have won a lot of games this year, and it has no impact on what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. All right, you gotta win the next game. You can't try to live off past success. You gotta try to make the best forecast you can for the current storm at hand. So that's what I'm trying to do. And there's no, it's not going to be a dry slot. It's going to be subsidence. So you could say it's subsidence with the banding. It's simply a placement of where the banding is going to happen in the Carolinas. And I've talked about that. This storm is going to be banding dependent. You're still going to get light snow, so it depends on your expectations. This is why I'm telling you right now, get your expectations off of feet of snow. Get it off. It's possible. But due to the nature of the banding, somewhere could still get feet of snow and you may not, like 20 miles away, because of the nature of deformation banding and how it works. This is where you want to look. This is what's going to tell you what's going to happen here. In my opinion, if we're looking at this Euro run specifically, I see like I see like three different areas. It's so messy. It's so freaking messy. Um, which makes I don't think you can get much messier than this on a 700 millibar Fort map, which makes me think this can only potentially better consolidate across these areas here, which would help allow a better push here potentially. It's just my opinion. It's very rarely ever this messy. It does remind me a little bit of uh, 22. But it's not quite the same setup though. It's not the same setup. The way the system was, where it was coming from, or it's much different. I'd be looking here, right in here. Absolutely a crush job, in my opinion. The model will probably show it though, right here, and that's a big difference. I'd also be looking right here as well, but it's kind of broken up in between here. So that's how you can kind of use model guidance to actually be of use. And then notice the 700 volt band come together. You see how that band's coming together? Now this is a crush job for these areas here. And that's why the snow maps don't even do that justice. And 700 volt band, oh, it just gets so close. Look at that. You have it exactly where you want it. It just doesn't get the latitude gain. It just does not get the latitude gain. I mean, this should crush these areas here. Should 700 millibar bore. I think we discussed that already. You just barely lack the latitude gain. That's it. See how it spins off? That's not even right. That's barely riding the Gulf Stream gradient. That's riding just heading east. This storm can get anywhere close to this gradient here. It is going to be a memorable one. A memorable one. Let's see what the P-type map shows. Close, hey, right? Euro's a little bit not bad. Not bad, right? You know, obviously big difference from that, but you can see the low placement is jumpy. It's whatever. It's orientation of the setup is. You can play that run. Look at it, jumpy. Jumpy. Oh, it's got jumpy fever. There's no trend. That's no trend. That's zero trend. 6, 12, 18. There's no. It's brutal. Brutal. Even then, the precip shield kind of lasts for a while as the deformation band kind of just evaporates. And even then, for eastern New England, that would be a massive snowstorm. As you can clearly see, that would be a massive snowstorm. But look, it does kind of depict that. You see how we're picking apart. I think it would be more snow down to here as well. But notice it dumps. That wouldn't be this smoothed out though. I'm telling you right now, it would not be that smoothed out. But you can see that there. There's an example of the subsidence on the banding. Yeah, but the models are going to change, NC player. The models are going to change. So that's going to be a nowcast for banding for totals. Now, the reason you do see that is because you see the 700 millibar banding lift to the north. In that nature, all these areas, regardless, at least get something. I'm talking about the highest ceiling, though. I'm not saying that you still get good snow in a lot of these areas. And this, for example, that northern push of banding that's happening right here, you see all this. This is all heavy snow. That's just lifting northward, right there. That's where I'd be looking. Boom. Boom. All heavy snow, probably 1 to 2 inch per hour rates. Easy. This is on Saturday. Saturday morning to PM. And then now this is where you watch. Because that pivot point defines how much snow you get. That's just waves of banding that are pushing northward. And then boom, now that's the pivot point that starts to happen. That pivot point completely changes depending on the evolution of the upper level setup. Completely changes. So notice this isn't until about 3 days out almost, that pivot point. That's why the forecast from the point of onset here, this is going to be such a long duration system across the Carolinas, which is why you'll probably get pretty good snow totals still, even if you don't get a ton of snow, even if you don't get the heaviest banding. Look at the 250 setup here. Let's see here. Get that left. You get that left exit region, man. Look at that. I'm looking at there. I'm saying back into here. I'm looking at this entire area. If I'm looking at the 250 jet. Now, I'm looking at here as the heaviest, maybe, but all the way into here to get snowstorm totals. Just looking at the 250 jet. And then look at all that clear out. That should dump on Maine. Does it? It gets close. It doesn't. I think that should crush Maine, but it is what it is, Poppy. Right? It is what it is. I guess I can look at the ensembles. Although the ensembles just change with the operational, so it's hard to. I love 500 and 700 Vort tell you so much to look for snowfall total. I still don't understand why more people don't look at 700. 700 millibar Vort is one of the best tools you can use on models. I still don't understand why more people don't look at it. And I've been talking about it for years. Anybody that's been following me for a while knows for literally the oldest time. Actually, literally the whole time I've been forecasting. And everybody knows. Snow lovers in the Carolinas got a sleep fest. So they accumulated, just not to the extent. I don't know what you mean by that question, Joseph. That's hard to, I don't understand the question. How does the EPS look? We'll look at it here in a second. Uh, the knowledgeable podcast says now Philly isn't getting anything right. Well, do we want to look at it as of now or the end result? I can give my opinion as of now, but it shouldn't be based on models as of now. My opinion, just in general, with the setup, is that in theory, yeah, Philly could get some snow. It's possible, but right now I would not favor. A major storm for Philly. But let me preface it by saying this: even if it doesn't, it would not take a lot in changes in the upper levels to be able to do that, to be able to get something like that. But it takes a little bit more in Philly, in my opinion, than it does, say, 30, 40 miles to your east and towards Jersey coast or whatever, how far that is. It's a little bit different. And the EPS is, 18Z really was impressive, but 18Z still, or 0Z still is. And of course it's not getting out that far. What is? I mean, clouds in the sky. I mean, we kind of answered that already. We talked about the out to sea. I mean, we've clearly answered that. I thought before. Again, we made the point. This is not going out to sea. This storm is going to hit the Carolinas, and in my opinion, at least scrape New England. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong on that, but this is not going out to sea. So we kind of already addressed that. I can answer a different question if you want of why it's not showing a major snowstorm in your area, if that's what you're asking, but this isn't going out to sea. So I'm sure some people are saying that, but it's not the case. Really hoping for the northwest trend in New York City. Hope hard there. From South Windsor, Connecticut. It's early, too many TV with going out to sea. Again, not going out to sea. It's not going out to sea. This system. So, I know you mentioned that potential for a while ago. It's just more no, it's we just discussed that. It's the models don't accurately depict the evolution of the banding. We just discussed that. That's literally what we're talking about. It's just in the Carolinas. You look at 700 volt, like we were just doing this for like 5 minutes maybe. But Euro actually did a decent job on this run, depicting it, even if not perfectly. I think you could even get the precip shield to go farther out, in my opinion. Although you'll probably run into some really cold dry air from the backside. But I think on this run you could get the precip shield to get all the way out. You could get to go all the way out to here on this run on the Euro, in my opinion. You get moderate snow to go back out into here. And you could get heavy snow right back into here. That's where I'm looking. It just doesn't do that for consistently long enough on the model run. See that pivot point? So close. If I'm looking at the run, I'm saying right here is getting crushed. And then eventually you'll get a period of heavy snow that gets out into Boston as well on that Euro. See that band? And it gets back? Boom. Extremely weird evolution with 700 though. That's going to keep changing. And then this crushes Maine. This should crush Maine right here. That's how you look for banding. And the precip maps don't always reflect that. The reason the Carolinas think they got shafted is because of model guidance and some of the forecasting that was put out ahead of that. In reality, though, you were never getting the storm. I know that's not what you want to hear, but it is true. Depends on who is forecasting it. So, but yeah, the Carolinas at this time um, are in line for, I think, a snowstorm. I think in my opinion it's pretty straightforward now because even like 3 to 5 inches of snow is a snowstorm down there. So I think that's about a given at this point that some places we get at least get that depending on all the possible scenarios. Oh, there's going to be some chaser convergence on the Cape with this one. No doubt. You're not going to need a lot of snow. That's another thing. Let's discuss the other impacts. The wind gust potential with this is off the charts. I had someone in my comments like say like 80-mile-an-hour wind, 14 inches of snow, saying like, and like they were saying like I said not in this chat right now, like on a comment on a video, they're saying, "No, you said that," and I was like, I never once said that, never ever. And then if it ends up happening, they're probably going to say, "Well, I told you so," and it's like you're missing the point. You're saying I said something I never said, and it's a different debate. My point is, though, if I want to get here, is the potential for very strong winds, and it's only just going to make that person just annoying. I hate some people sometimes in the comments. You're on the same screen for 10 minutes. Well, it's because we're breaking down stuff. If you don't want analysis, go to direct weather. He'll give you all the pretty colors. Yep, full moon, John. Thank you for adding that. It's a full moon, February 1st, and very strong wind gusts along these areas, and even into the interior places. We could get close to blizzard conditions. Interior Carolinas. That's why we mentioned Myrtle Beach as well. You know, the potential for wind gusts 35 plus miles an hour certainly exists with this system. And then as you get into the coastal plain of the Carolinas, we start worrying about 40 to 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts. That's not just verbatim the model. This is across all all model guidance. What is the most trusted short-term model? None of them are. None. You could say out of the RGM is maybe one of the more valuable ones, but it's not always accurate with the upper levels. I think it does well with precipitation depiction, in my opinion, like actually doing it. But the upper levels can always change. But there is a real concern coastal places. I'm telling you, you do not need a lot of snow to have notable impacts in these places here. If this is even a coastal scraper, which I think we're at least going to do, and that's where I'm going. At least I think we go coastal scraper to hit here, in my opinion. That's where I lean. Those out of the 2 out of 3 scenarios, where for the northern part it completely misses. Carolinas get a minor to moderate hit. This would not result in a big hit for these places. Carolina's success is directly tied to everybody else with the system, to be clear. So for anybody in the Carolinas going, haha, you get nothing. Well, that doesn't really work for you then, because you're actually not going to get as much in that case if these places don't get more either. So be careful what you wish for down there. If that's your mindset. I don't think many people in our chat mindset is that, but full moon, potential coastal flooding, strong wind gusts, strong pressure gradient. Remember we talked about we have high pressure to the north and to the west. Surrounding high. Strong low pressure that develops. Strong. High barometer, low barometer setup. Usually you only need one of these driven in order to get potentially near blizzard conditions. We saw that last time. That was just a high barometer setup. We had almost no low pressure to work with until the very end, and even then that wasn't the strongest point of the blizzard conditions. You have both. You have strong high pressure to the north and to the west surrounding. And that is what drives pressure gradient along the coastline. And it's going to result in a pretty high impact. So even into interior places, guys, along the coast, for any of our gals and guys out there living along the coast, even just inland of the coast here, you see a little bit of snow with what's already on the ground and what's falling in the sky combined, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a nice light moderate snow for several hours with the wind gusts present, you could get near blizzard conditions. Would not take a lot. Now, if you get heavy snow with this kind of wind, obviously the blizzard conditions. So that's why the Cape and southeastern New England has the highest odds, along with the coastal plain and coastal South Carolina as well. But you're also going to get strong wind gusts and probably coastal flooding potential all the way down into the southwestern Atlantic here, along southeastern Georgia and Florida. Notice how strong the wind gusts are there along the coasts and even into the interior. 40 to 50, these are always overdone, so I would say 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Be careful. Don't always go a little bit under what these show. And this is that exact solution too. We'll go to a GFS. See, a little bit different. Even in the GFS, that barely coastal scrapes, 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts for the Cape. Probably blizzard conditions. And OBX, 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Maybe slightly less, 40 to 60, whatever. Strong wind gusts along with the wind. Appalachians also has blizzard potential here. Just a little bit of falling snow with those wind gusts. So it will be extremely powdery too, light powder, which will make it easier to blow around. Let's go to Canadian. See that? The wind gusts almost tell you how strong the system is. And this is really, it's very rare you see it like this. That's an extremely odd setup. Which lets you know there's some, lets you know there's some mischief. So ratios will be pretty good, but keep in mind for places that are going to see a lot of wind, the wind will break up some of your snow ratios. The wind breaks up the snowflakes a little bit on its approach to to the surface. The snowflakes from the dendritic growth zone to the surface, that wind can break up the snowflake a little bit and make it not accumulate as efficiently. Yeah, you could see a few inches of snow here, and you could get multi-foot drifts. You could that's the kind of scenario we're talking about here. That you could get 3 to 6 inches of snow, and you could have 1 to 2 foot snow drifts here, if not higher, because of just some places will have like no snow, and then other places will have like 1 to 3 feet drifts, um, especially in these places here. There is a risk of mixing along here. Not It's just as a result though of being too close to the low pressure system. Has nothing to do with a lack of thermals. Nothing to do with that. It has to do with being so close to the system. And look at the occlusion that happens eventually. Pretty cool. Notice 700. Look at 700. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous at 700. I mean, that's so impressive. You see, you can take a guess where the frontogenesis is happening. Pretty cool. I like watching these maps. It's fun. The Eric Fisher link. Eric, I don't know if Eric Fisher has a link. Cold enough for light fluffy yet. What were the ratios? I don't know. We won't know. We won't know until it happens. But I would assume higher than 10 to 1 for a lot of places. Out of the DC Philly, here's who is it? Just who is the best chance to see more? Boston, obviously. Boston does obviously though. Yes, Boston. Oh, out of the Philly, DC, Philly, NYC. I'll go with New York City. I'll go with New York City. But I would take coastal Jersey over New York City as well, though. Um, well, the Euro is showing a pretty major storm. I mean, maybe not for your area. I mean, a lot of these areas are going to be Carolinas get one, coastal Mid Atlantic gets one, Eastern New England gets crushed. Um, that'd be a pretty major storm. Just maybe not for your area. I put it in chat yesterday. An Eric Fisher link. I don't know about Eric Fisher. Eric Fisher doesn't have a link. Eric Fisher is a local meteorologist here in Boston. I don't think he made it that far, but If you go from 0Z last night, it's really not actually, it's maybe actually slightly further west, you could argue, depending on maybe slightly less spread, but slightly farther west with that. Oh, the model I put in chat, that's not Eric Fisher. That's Eric, that's Evan Fisher. And I know what you're talking. The weather next too, yeah. Um, but that I don't think he's updated that. So you'd just be seeing the same thing as yesterday, and that wouldn't be too helpful. Or not even yesterday, 2 days ago. That hasn't updated. Um, so that won't help you out there. Um, for me to put that link in again, won't get you anything, unfortunately. Mm, hey, Euro Area Ensemble actually decided to load out. It's minor shifts. It's rather minor in the grand scheme of things. You go 12Z, 6Z. It's just there's no consistency. There's no consistency. There's no consistency. You could make very. I'd argue that's just more spread last night, so to say, than tonight. Not a ton of massive changes. But the consistent variables is this area here has a pretty decent shot to get something impressive, and then this is where all the uncertainties happen. All the uncertainties happen. Trick me. Has the GFS been as bad as people have been saying it has been lately? It hasn't been lately. It's been for pretty much. I don't know if there's a limit on how bad it's been. It's not that it's been so bad. It's just other models got better. Not so much better, but better. And when you don't, when a model doesn't stay as good, then or it doesn't improve. I mean, when you're not, improving, you're getting worse. The people around you getting better, right? So that's applies here. AI, the AI guidance has the operational GFS looking like a fool. Pity the fool, Mr. T, if you know it. But this GFS is just not a valuable model. I'd argue a lot of the guidance is because the model guidance is going to change, is going to keep changing, and there's only so much you can get from it. It's not that I hate model guidance. I hate how it's used. That's my thing. I think model guidance is fantastic. I just hate how it's used. I don't think it's used properly. I don't care. I mean this respectfully. I don't care how much snow the Canadian shows for a certain place in Atlanta. It doesn't mean anything. Model snowfall outputs are not valuable at all. I know people think they are. They're not. It's about pinpointing what happens in reality, but I don't know. I'm not sure Atlanta is necessarily in the best, the best spot for this system here. But um, North and North and East Georgia, I think are better placed. What in order, if you want to know how you get more snow here, is if we go to the upper levels. We go way up. We go to 500 millibars, way up in the atmosphere. We look at the Vort signature. You would benefit in Atlanta from an upper level low track that's further south and west. You would benefit from that, so you can get more amplification and you can pull more precipitation back further this way. And this really benefits everybody. This really just benefits everybody that has a vested interest in this storm. So there's really one solution right now everybody is trying to root for, and it's a more amplified solution compared to what model guidance shows at this point. Problem is, model guidance is going to change. Here's one thing I'll say with this system. I don't think you can go too much farther southeast with this system. That might be a bold take, and I might regret that. We'll see. Just based on the gradients we have right now, models are riding that second gradient. I'm not sure you can go. You can't really bring the baroclinic zone much farther southeast than what you have now. It'd be really difficult to do that, in my opinion. Hello. So quiet in the corner of Connecticut, and my job takes all over Rhode Island, all over Connecticut, on the mass. Basically, saying, who really knows when it comes to totals? No. Yes. No. It's that models don't know. It's I guess so, kind of. But it doesn't have to do with models. It doesn't have to do with models. It has to do with the nature of the setup. That's how I see it. Coastal scraper where it's like a Cape Cod crush job, and then it's moderate snows, maybe in a little bit inland, and it's not a major hit for a lot of southern New England, and you don't get moderate snow back in New York City. That's a big hit right there. And that probably affects coastal Jersey, Delmarva, you know, places like say southeastern Virginia, maybe even Richmond. But that 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 versus the coastal scraper could drastically change snowfall totals. And it all has to do with where the deformation banding set up. It all has to do with where exactly that's placed. That's your snowstorm, really, to be honest. If you're in the deformation band or to the east, you're going to get a major snowstorm because you'll get waves of banding to get going to that. These are really tricky to pinpoint always. But as I've said, I lean towards at least a coastal scraper or a hit with this, and particularly for southern New England, especially. Um, Now, coastal scraper would not really do much for New York City, to be frank, but a major hit would. That would at least scrape New York City with snow potential, and if you were lucky enough, you could get a snowstorm out of it. What will we need for 18Z0 to verify? It's irrelevant because it won't. It's already changed. 18Z0 will not verify. None of these model solutions right now will verify. None of them will. This will keep changing. So it's best not to focus on that. Something that can't happen. If you're asking how to get, I mean, we've kind of broke it down clearly how to get the storm to hit. Well, don't speak for me, Celtic Supreme. Don't assume. But I'd be surprised if I weren't live for this system going forward here this week. Yeah, I would be surprised. But the same thing, it applies to everybody. Like I can't really be much clearer with this. A weaker confluence that backs up either this way or further north will allow height lines to rise and will allow convection to get further north versus east. And that'll allow more snow to go for all these places here. I know you don't want more snow, but there's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of people that do want a lot more snow. We have some real snow sickos, me included. I have a problem. I have a problem for snow. You think there's something that goes on in the atmosphere that which we had no clue about that could help better predict storms if we discovered it? Technically, yeah, there always is. It's the same as always stuff that that if we didn't discover that we hadn't discovered yet will always help advance the science. But there really is that's not really a bold, that's not really like a hot question to ask or something that's going to give you like an answer from me. Not saying you were trying to, but like there's just a lot always to discover about the atmosphere. Keep that's how we test it, right? Bring hypotheses, and then use the scientific method, put them to the test, see if they work out. I read at least like an inch of Clarkston, Georgia. I do not know where Clarkston, Georgia. I know you said somewhere northeast of Atlanta. Um, and honestly, I don't want to give you a probability for a Georgia forecast that I don't want to give you a specific idea for numbers and totals. I really don't want to go further south than the Carolinas is even stretching it because this is not my expertise. This quarter right here is, and especially New England, New York City as well. I've been forecasting that for a long time. No, this won't be a fish storm because this is going to hit a lot of people. So, this really can't be a fish storm because it's actually developing right over us here on the mainland. So it can't be. But hello back to you as well, SDS storm chaser. Yeah, you're welcome. And to be clear, you do have a chance for snow in Georgia here. The further the further north and east you go in Georgia, the better the margin for error is with this system. Now there's micro banding within that can always define, and to be honest, it could just come down to whether or not if you get a nice band of snow to move through for for an hour or something, and then you can get like a half inch to an inch maybe. And, that's really what it could come down to, but that's a really difficult thing to pinpoint when your time there in Georgia is still a couple days out. That's a really specific thing to nail down. It's right outside of the city under Gainesville. Sorry, testing my mind. I'm so beyond tired right now. I tried to sleep last night. Did not go successfully. I woke up in a panic, thinking my device died and my alarm went off and I was going to be late for what I needed to go to. We never made it back to sleep, so unfortunately. Is there anything after this? Well, we have our Bering Strait connection for the first week of February that we should keep an eye on. So next week, in theory, there could be something to track along the East Coast. Does that signal show up? And it does. Now it's all over the place, but that's that signal, and that's probably what we were looking at right there. So console is kind of cool, even though it may not a guaranteed hit, to see it at least line up, so to say. And I think even the week after that as well, we'll have more to track as well, and you can vaguely see that as well. That's just pretty active pattern here. Pretty active pattern. Doesn't mean you get big storm every single week, but I mean, hey, we're it's basically house money for the rest of the winter for a lot of places now. I get to about if I get another foot of snow on the year for like the next 3 months, which is almost a given. It'd be really hard for me not to do that. I'll get to average on the winter. I'll get to about my seasonal, or maybe just under maybe, but I'm at 54 over 54 inches of snow. We got to get to about 65, 70-ish to get to average on the year. Based on the 1990 to 2020 totals, kind of. I'm basically just Worcester minus like 5 to 10 inches is how I can kind of measure my climatology. New Jersey, no snow. Oh, I mean, where in Jersey plays a big factor, but closer to the coast, the more margin for error you have with this setup here. That's a little redundant, but it's true. Again, if you don't mind liking the stream, that's very helpful as well. No, we're not torching. At least to start February, we're not torching. I mean, we've barely torched this winter at all. Even we didn't really. I mean, we didn't. It's not like we had like 3 days in a row of like 50s and 60s across the Northeast in New England. It just hasn't happened. It just hasn't been the pattern for it. You get like maybe that one day of that rainstorm that brings up a lot of warm air, but then otherwise, it was like 30s and then 40s and then maybe a couple days of 50s for like 4 or 5 days, or whatever. And that was about it. And that was the precursor for our pattern change. So, you mean the Worcester Hills? I don't know. Worcester Hills looking fast as drivability. I don't understand the question. I think there was an error there. I didn't know that, but thank you for that useless information, Beatrice. Thank you. So we're not having warm air. Used to being in the 50s for the past 5 winters. Well, remember we were in snow seasons are often cyclical. It's again. I know you said drivability, but you said fast. I don't know what that means. Are looking fast as drivability goes. That's not English that I can. Oh, as far as drivability, you're trying to finish. You mean how are they right now? That they're awful. All around Worcester and in Worcester is terrible right now. They did a terrible. I'm sorry, I don't mean to crap on the state officials. I'm just telling what the roads are. It's nothing against the people. If there's anybody that knows those people are watching, it's nothing against the people themselves. I'm gonna tell it like it is. The roads sucked. They're awful. There's inches of slushy snow still on the roads that it's so cold that it's actually messing with it. It's not just slush that you can plow through. It's like actually messing with the driving, it's brutal. It's all around. Auburn was no, still some parts of Auburn were not good. Shrewsbury was awful with their cleanup, awful. Worcester, I mean, always kind of stinks a little bit, but Worcester was really not good. Grafton was okay in some parts, other parts not as much at all. Trying to think of other places. Those are some of the surrounding towns around. Just it was not has not been good. I think these models will get in alignment and stay with it to the end. That's not how they're designed. People want them as forecasts. They're tools to make a forecast. Um, I know people think sharing them as a forecast. It's if you phrase it that way, I guess it can be. That can be your forecast if you decide to. But to maybe give you a better answer, the future of model guidance is AI. That is the future, the machine learning aspect of it. People think AI and they go, oh, come on, AI, they got this stereotype. It's a machine learning aspect is the biggest thing. It's not like it's using basically more so, especially like being able to use past history for the models and incorporating that. You're gonna tell me 4 days out, a low this position right here on ensemble mean? Come on now, 4 days out. Give me a chance to track this any day of the week. I said this last time, worked out, but it doesn't mean it works out every time. You know where Charlton? Of course, I know where Charlton is. I cannot tell you how many times I've been through in Charlton. Uh, da, 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 I can't. I don't think I can respond to that NC player. Plow truck passed me on the side of the road, so the finger. Uh, aren't you a plower too? It's plow and plow crime right there. That's not good. But I yeah, I'm not. I haven't had too many bad situations with drivers. I will say though, the piles, for me, it's not as. Listen, uh, I'm not. I don't have a. Listen, I'm not a perfect driving record, but I'm in terms of processing ability, as you guys can tell, it translates to driving. So I can make pretty split. I can make quick decisions fast on the fly, which benefits me as a driver. Other people just do not have that gift. They need to think, slow it down, break it down, and on the road, that can lead to some very poor driving. And so when you have some of the snow mounds that you do now, it can make it a little bit more difficult. But for me, at least, it's just like, all right, little bit more work required. But for me, it's not that big of a deal. I feel like most plow drivers as well are usually pretty high processors for driving as well. It requires um, a lot of skill to be able to operate, not hurt somebody's property or the roads or whatever. Do all that. There's a lot of processing that's required at the same time. So I usually tend to trust when the plows are out there, but some people will take advantage of that and like are ultra aggressive. Some plows are really they kind of take advantage of that. Sometimes I see them like they're just flying by, and I'm just like, come on, like I get it, you're a plow, but let's not go 40 on the side road when it's complete slush snow there. But I'm still not happy about the amount of people that were out on the last system. That bothered me. There's way too many people out. Way too many people out. I mean, we had some. I think we had somebody get hit by like a plow, and I'm sure. I'm sure we had more accidents than that. But oh, you work in Charlton by the McDonald's. You drive that far for your job? Yeah, I pass that all the time. All the time, I pass that. But I never usually stop in the McDonald's. That's if I don't ever McDonald's is a last resort for human health right there. Shout out McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. The only people who are professional drivers in the snow are plows and storm chasers. Those are the only two. Maybe there's it's more nuanced than that, but those are the top two that come off to the top of my. Yeah, I know what Trios Brewery is. I don't. I do not go there. Are temps going to be cold after the storm in North Carolina? Absolutely. You should be known. It should be pretty well known that anytime you get a large trough like that to drop in on the backside, almost always it is going to be very cold after. Take a note. Take notice here. Consistently very cold for actually days, days and days after. The snow is going to stick around and potentially a long time. It seems like a polar vortex stretching event is what we're kind of working into. The cold is not going to be going anywhere. It's going to be actually rather cold. Take a look at the anomalies. Rather cold. And you know what the problem is? Is people see this though, and they're like, this is above the surface. First of all, this is a western ridge. That's what that is. People see these though, and they're like, oh boy, that can't be good, right? That little area right there. I see that, man. That can't be good. It's compared to average 850s. People think you need to be in the dark blue in order to get major snow. That's just not the case. You need a temperature contrast is what you need. What's my current temp? Right now we're a one-man operation. We are not expanding. Currently, I'm actually probably a good amount warm. Wait, let me see here. I might be a good amount warmer than you right now. Right now, the end of my street is 1 degree. The top of it is 9 degrees. All has to do with where the cold is pressing down. Massive temperature changes that vary. The cold is going to love to go into the lower elevations first. So out there in the valley, that's where the cold air is going to get targeted. So it depends on what part of my road I start walking on. There could be about a 10-degree change in temperature. By tomorrow night, will we get predictions on how much snow? I already have predictions. It's just pin your. It, this is the type of storm. Where I can tell you right now, a lot of North Carolina is probably going to get at least multiple inches of snow at a minimum. I find it hard to believe that at least most of the state isn't going to get at least like 2 to 3 inches of snow. Would find it hard to believe. I drive. I drive an SUV, Chef Curry. But the thing with the setup is it comes down to the heaviest banding. Now you are going to get probably some notable bands on the when you start to change the pivot axis, just because the system's still going to be positively tilted. That's going to work in your favor at first. The system still at this point, because as it starts to shift the axis, what you're doing is getting bands that are kind of starting to get out. So imagine like the storm is moving this way, right? And the storms are pivoting around the axis. So now, or the bands are pivoting around the axis. So you'll probably get these waves of banding that shoot up here. And then it's a matter of where do these pivot? Where do deformation or the deformation bands set up? And that's where your heaviest totals will be. And how large will it be as well? So some places could be 3 to 6, others could be 6 to 10, others could be, 12, could be 12 to 20 plus. It could vary. It could vary a lot within the state. And the thing is, though, since people think, oh, the storm's 2 days away, they think, oh, well, shouldn't we know that close? The problem is you don't understand that the system is pivoting on its axis. That takes a while to happen. That's 2 days away. Just getting going. That's This is almost 3 days. This is when it's actually starting to really come together now. It's like we talk about it. It's almost like a clipper basically coming from the North Stream, and once the Southern Stream injection happens, that is when all the moisture starts to break out for the heaviest totals. So that's kind of the problem, is that people think, since, oh, well, it's starting then, so that means we should know. That's not the case. The heaviest doesn't really happen until this point right here. Until it really doesn't happen until Saturday, and Saturday p.m. into Sunday, and into Sunday. Saturday p.m. Sunday. Now that could change a little bit, but people think, since, oh, it's Friday night, 2 days it starts, but really this is not. This is a peak time frame. Yeah, there'll be wind. Who do you think gets it? Again, I like. I don't know. Give me a good model within 24 hours of it happening, and I can probably give you a decent idea. Just like we were able to do with, that's where model guidance is fantastic. And I can admit to loving, unless I see something clearly that doesn't support it. Usually, a lot of times when you get, well, with this setup here with 24 hours, it's not going to work for the East Coast a little bit. That could move a little bit, but you can use 700 millibar banding, and that is going to help you pinpoint the banding for who gets the most snow. The highest ceiling is who gets the beginning part, that wave there, the first part of the pivot, and then the second part of the pivot as well. And that probably is going to be east of here, which that opens up a lot of opportunities for these places. There'll be subsidence. It's not a dry slot, really, so to say. It's subsidence, meaning there's so much rising motion in some area that there's so much rising motion in one area that the other area there's less, has to. That's rising motion being focused. So if it's in between, there could be more rising air and subsidence, and then it shifts east eventually, so that it eventually gets there. And then to the east of your deformation banding, there'll be waves going into it. So, but hard to, that's a hard thing to pinpoint. You're the second person to say don't look at direct weather thumbnail. So anytime somebody tells me not to do something, I do it. Nike, just do it. I'll type it in. I'm not clicking on the video. I'm not giving you. I'm subscribed. Oh my god, how is this possible? This is so embarrassing. Guys, I'm a secret fiend for direct weather. None of you know it. It's been all a lie. I love direct weather. I love direct weather. It's been all a lie. It's been a ruse. Just to gain more traction. Ooh, look, 4K. That must mean it's really good. This major nor'easter will be a monster bomb cyclone in blizzard conditions. I've seen worse. He's done way worse than this. He's done way worse than this. No, this is better. Where I turned on notifications for him? Oh, there we go. Whew. I must have did that at some point because as you know, we've viewed the channel before and we've looked at what's wrong with this channel. So probably at some point when I was clicking, I probably at some point made a mistake. Actually, you know what? I was probably helping because if you subscribe and you don't watch, that actually hurts the channel. So maybe I should subscribe again and not watch. That might a weather YouTube boxing fight. No, I have no interest in that. I have no interest in doing any physical harm to him. That's not worth it. But his forecasts are awful. Um, See, this is the one. This should have been the one where you say historic snowstorm. Did he not? Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see the thumbnails. Yes, I'm sure this really does change everything. That's him. Oh boy, I will say nothing. Um, so, okay. So this is what we're trying to not be for those that don't understand. I can put out all the pretty colors I want. None of these videos have, for his standards, have that many views though. And that's what we're trying not to be. So if you're someone who's a direct weather fan that kind of just watching the channel and showed up for a second, it's just this may not be your place then. Unless you want actual analysis and you're trying to upgrade from direct weather. Listen, I don't try to hold myself to the highest of all things, but I can tell you I can do better than direct weather for analysis. I can tell you that right now. Which it comes. Now, one thing you can get is if one thing that could help is if you get enough northern branch to work back enough, that could help offset some confluence stuff enough because that could force a little bit more stream separation and a little bit weaker confluence. So that could work in your favor. So there's multiple pathways to get to different soluciones. I doubt that's the Spanish term for that, but hello, tennis girl. Don't try to cover it up. We all, yeah. Clickbaiter can get in today's even always get. Will it snow in Columbia, South Carolina? I will say yes. It will snow in South. It's a matter of will you see accumulating snow to a snowstorm in Columbia at this point, in my opinion, versus whether or not you snow. I think that's what it ultimately is going to come down to. Um, I personally, I think Bernie's a great teacher of the atmosphere. I don't always agree with his calls and specifics of the snow maps and the tropical stuff, that's where I run into some problems. But as a winter weather forecaster, being able to explain the details, I think you can learn a lot from him, in my opinion. AccuWeather in general, other people I can't speak for other. I know that, but I think some of it's rough. But you want to get freaky? Look at the long range HRR and hope you can get pieces of information from it. Act like you're going to get anything from this, but you can always check. But the reason why you're not going to get anything from this, even though it can be fun to check, is because this is a really high resolution model. So the resolution is, yeah, imagine it's a grid scale across, and there's a bunch of boxes, and the higher the resolution, the more in-depth, it can get, the more refined, the more details it can pick up on. But over the course of time, it can only go out so far without basically malfunctioning. It's like overloading the processing unit, basically, imagine, for like a computer or something. If you overload it, it's gonna explode. Kind of. That's how these high resolution models. That's why it's so unusual to try to look at them for anything, because the farther out they go, they'll amplify certain features, and it takes away from accuracy at the end of the run. But people use them for that still. There's a reason we haven't showed the NAM tonight, is because if the NAM can't finish the run, what good is it? The only reason I like looking at the NAM sometimes maybe it's going to show what happens with the rest of the model suites, but other times it doesn't. It just plays to the beat of its own drum. So there's only so much you can take from certain mesoscale guidance so far out. Now this one I didn't look at tonight. Canadian orbit AI. Now that is very close. Now that's right there will play. There's 12Z a little bit closer, but still 0Z is right there. That's right there. That should, yeah. The cape. The cape gets crushed. It should get crushed on this. Will it show it? No, it doesn't. That's a cape crush job. Doesn't show it though. Doesn't show it. Not well enough, at least. That should be a cape crush job. And you probably would get snow back into here. No, that's just North American mesoscale model. No, that's a different pronunciation. I know you always go to that NC player. That's a different way to put it. We say the NAM, but I guess you could also. It depends on how you want to say it, but it's all pronunciation. There's just different meanings for different words. It's not really a change. This is just abbreviation for the model. So that's it. My aunt lives in Tahoe, and it's been 50s and 60s. Yeah, it's been warm over there. Anytime the East gets good winters, the West are usually a bit warmer. To certain people's dismay, no matter how many long-range models. I don't know why it turns into such a battle every winter of the West versus the East. Just forecast the accuracy. The wish casting that I see, that it goes on from some Pacific Northwest people is ridiculous. Just forecast accuracy. Like, why are you trying to manipulate something? Do you want to know what's going to happen, or do you just want to talk yourself into something that's going to happen? This is so jumpy. Canadian been all over the place lately. See that? 12, 0, 12, 0 brings it more, 12 goes away, 0 a little bit more. Jumpy. Just every model is just so jumpy with the system. Hard to get a there's no really feel for any model guidance here. Do we get 0Z? UCMET has been nowhere near accurate with the system. That's why UCMET is just so unreliable. And sure enough, now it brings it. You see the difference? 12Z, 0Z. I mean, UCMET was nowhere even on the map, and now it's getting there. UCMET getting there. UCMET shows actually a Cape Crush job. Coastal Scraper on the UCMET. Am I against naming winter storms? I just don't care. I don't why put so much time and energy on caring. Like, what do you care if somebody names it or not? The Weather Channel decides to do it. Some kids love it. I know. When I was a lot younger, they named those stuff, and I would say the names, and then I eventually kind of grew out of it as I get older. But you know, that was years and years ago. But it doesn't mean anything. Some people get so aggravated, and for me, it's just I just don't care. You want to if you want to go by a name so you know what it is, and so be it. I don't care. I get people all the time that say Jonas, Juno, whatever, and it's like it's easy to go to those names and be like, that's the storm, and then we know what happened with that. So that's one thing I like about it, but a name's also not required for forecasting messages. Um, no, people see past that. I think NC player. People are people see past that pretty quickly. There's not too many people that like, I don't know, if you had like the name Helene, I don't think anybody's gonna like hold it against you or anything. It's just your name. So that's my opinion, at least. At least I'm not gonna hold it against you. All I'll say is you get the Northwest trend from guidance. It was written all over. That's all I'll say. But it's yes, it's high pressure to the north, but it's a very confluence driven setup. It's an upper level energy problem here. I think you have a lot of Northwest trend written and trigger bad feeling. Maybe for some people, I just don't hold that. I don't view it like that at all. It used to go even more OG than that, Vetris. Yeah. There's the spire. One of the most unhelpful models in the history of model guidance of all time, but there it is. This model, Weatherbell can take it off their site. It's unbelievable. If it was just as accurate as its short range, it would be one of the worst models in the history, John. I think the HRR struggles mightily. Now, some of it is depiction, but it's not a pretty model, in my opinion. It has a lot of flaws. But all right, I'm going to call it there tonight because I need to get some sleep. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. It's required that I try to get good sleep tonight. I appreciate you all. We'll probably go live tomorrow night as well. I mean, it's a 2+ hour stream. That's a long time. So I appreciate everybody. Until next time. Well, thank you, Jesse, baby. I'll try to answer